Dr. Edward de Bono, his book, Free or Unfree, Are Americans Really Free? What do you mean by, first of all, what do you mean by free?
That's exactly the point. America, land of the free, Statue of Liberty, all that. Not free. Why? Imagine there's two towns, A and B, and there's one road between them, and you take it, no problem. Imagine there are four roads, but you don't know about them. Are you free to take that road? The answer is no. In other words, freedom is not just the absence of pressure and coercion. Freedom is the ability to see options and to choose. It's like when a woman's traveling and there's one evening engagement, she will pack 5 dresses because she wants to be free to choose on that evening. So freedom means the ability to see options, possibilities, other approaches, and choose. Whereas in the American culture, there's the one way, the right way, the American way. That's not freedom.
You think that is, because that almost sounds, forgive me, almost cliche, that there's the American way, there's the one way, there's the right way.
Yeah.
In a country this big, comprised
it may be the right way. I'm not saying it isn't right. I'm not saying it isn't the right way.
But what is the American way?
Well,
and I should point out to the audience, you preface all this by saying you were an admirer of America.
Absolutely.
Right.
Very much. And I think the rest of the world should be immensely grateful that America's idealistic enough to go around sorting out problems. Absolutely. No, it's the ability to see options. I'll give you an example. When they're teaching intelligent people who are poor thinkers, I've lectured to Nobel Prize laureates on 2 or 3 occasions, and if you take them outside their own field, they're not great thinkers.
Why not?
Because they haven't developed the skill of creative thinking. If you take a Nobel Prize physicist and you say, okay, how would you run a car park better than they are run now? You wouldn't get any great ideas.
But how does this either compare it and contrast to what we hear about different types of intelligence?
Yes.
Does that play into that at all?
Yes, I know Howard Gardner and types of intelligence. But intelligence is like the horsepower of a car. Thinking is the skill with which you drive the car. And you may be a young man with a lot of money, you buy a powerful car and you're a lousy driver. You may be an older man without much money, you buy a less powerful car, but you're a better driver. Thinking is the skill of using intelligence.
How much of is there an equation, which if you were to take the Mensa tests, if you have is the IQ the foundation upon which better thinking ultimately can occur, or can you balance that out with a much more effective thinking pattern?
Let's put it this way. If you have a very low IQ, it's rather hard to be a good thinker, although I've worked with Down syndrome children, and they can be very smart if they're taught in the right way. So obviously there's a limit. If you're below a certain limit, you're not going to be able to do much thinking. But above that, thinking is as important as intelligence.
Can you learn to think better at any age?
Absolutely.
The older you get, does it become more difficult to undo other patterns?
At Roosevelt University in Chicago, they have a special section for older people, where I think the average age is 90. They ask me to lecture there, they use my work there, and so on. That's perhaps the oldest. At the other end, 4-year-olds, 5, no one has the answer.
Are they overthinking? Or they're not thinking effectively?
Well, they're just following the usual, 1, 2, 4, 8.
Which is not efficient.
No, it's not efficient. But changing your viewpoint, changing your starting point, changing your concepts is part of creativity.
Do you find, with all the work being done around the world, that some cultures are more open to the notion of employing your techniques and thoughts?
Well, the answer is yes, and it's the usual story of complacency. A lot of cultures are very complacent. I was recently at a big education meeting in Italy, 10,000 teachers. 90% of the time was devoted to how you taught Down syndrome, autistic children, and so on. The assumption being that the rest of education was wonderful. Rubbish. Even the best education is far from wonderful.
Is that because, we have the No Child Left Behind in the United States, and we have many educators say that they're forced to teach to tests at this point?
No, because we have this notion of problem solving. Thinking is only about dealing with difficulties, and things which seem fine we're very complacent about. I'll tell you my little definition of complacency. A man jumps off the top of a skyscraper to commit suicide. As he passes the 3rd floor window, he says, "So far, so good." Correct. Complacency. We believe we are wonderful thinkers. We believe the UN is a wonderful thinking institution. It's not. We believe democracy is a wonderful system. It's not. A lot of these things. I'll give you a very interesting example.
Well, we have to take a break. Can I ask you to hold that off for a moment?
I'll give you a very
you've triggered
example.
a number of thoughts that I would like to try to exercise with you as well. Back with Dr. Edward de Bono in a moment. Free or unfree? Are Americans really free? We'll be right back.